Hello my fellow Hetalians and welcome back to Hetafacts. Many of you have asked me to do a top 10 favorite characters, but I think I'm going to do that if I get 5,000 subscribers. But since I have 3,000, yes, and I know this video is late, I understand. I decided that I am going to do a top 10 most misrepresented characters. That's right, I will be discussing characters that, in my opinion, are the most misrepresented in the fandom. With that, let's begin. But before we begin, I'm going to post out here some honorable mentions. Alright, let's get going. Number 10, Italy. Everyone seems to forget that Veneciano is a womanizer. He keeps a record book for flirting with women. It is a very big part of his character. Anytime there is a pretty girl, Italy will not be quiet about it. Though evidence shows that Italy is bisexual, it is safe to say that he acts different around women than men. Romano does the same thing too. Romano is never an asshole around women, only around men. And also, nobody seems to ever portray him as a cheater in any fanfics, which I think would actually make for a pretty good plot. People seem to always forget that Italy is an absolute player. Number 9. Latvia. This is an instance where looks are deceiving. Very deceiving. This guy has seen some shit. The majority of the Baltics are really not timid people unless they are around Russia, and Belarus if you're Latvia. But Latvia is more often than not around Russia, so that's how he's portrayed. He isn't always stuttering. That's only around Russia. He's a bit timid from time to time, but otherwise he's relatively cheerful, though he cries easily, which is probably why Russia likes him so much. And though it may not look like it, but when he's motivated, he's said to be a hidden genius and invents pretty interesting things. And he loves to drink. A lot. People also don't realize the reason why he gets targeted by Russia. It's because he says stuff like this, and he can't read the atmosphere. Not to mention he's a total Latvia! Number 8, Estonia. Quit making him a timid pushover. Even for Russia, Estonia is not afraid of Russia. At least, not anymore. He has not experienced the stuff that Lithuania and Latvia have. He managed to avoid all of that. That is why he is not afraid of Russia and why he is not physically maimed. Also, he is more than just a computer guy. He's a musician too. Plays piano and has a revolutionary singing voice. Get it? Singing revolution? Okay, I'll stop. And Estonia has a catchphrase. It doesn't show up much in the English dub, but in the manga and the Japanese, it doesn't matter if Latvia has anything to do with the situation. He will just scream Latvia for no reason, because it's always Latvia's fault. Somehow. Number 7. Prussia. Awesome, yes! I am the awesome and only care about myself! Even though I love my brother so much, I brought him back to life! The awesome me does not need a relationship. I am definitely not secretly lonely! There's a lot that the fandom does not know about Prussia. All his hobbies, how cleanly he is, how secretly lonely he is. Also, he didn't know that there was a bird on his head. Until recently. He constantly forgets that Gilbert exists. Number 6. Lithuania. I'm just going to leave these here so you can read them. Long story short, he's not always a timid uke, unless he is around Russia. Which he has very good reason to be. You have the total pushover part down, but remember, he's still a guy, even though he looks like a girl. Also, his name is not Taurus, it's Tolis, with an L and a Y. Taurus is not a real name, though it sounds like it would be a cool name. Anyways, this was a name that was lost in translation when being translated back from Japanese, since Tolis is an actual Lithuanian name. I know on the official Wikipedia it says Taurus, but this is a mistranslation. Shit. Let's be honest here. You bought them. Oh, you're right. Shit. Finally, I give you seme. Like, that's where you're wrong, bitch. Shit. Number 5. Let's throw all that out the window. The only reason that he is so low on this list is because the fandom has gotten better with this. Number 4. Iceland. Now we're getting into the long explanations. I honestly just think that people are just unsure about Iceland's character. I mean, he's kind of hard to personify, so I'll help you here. Iceland is, how do I put this?
I have crippling depression.
There we go. He's an angsty teenager. He's like that emo kid that tries to be cool and tries to fit in with everybody else and not show any emotion. The one that's constantly like, oh my gosh, dads, you're embarrassing me, and is always appreciating himself. This guy has like no self-esteem. Look at what he says when Finland introduces him to Estonia. Or look at him in the Christmas 2010 special. He's insecure about his language, his culture, his place in the Nordics, his body, and not to mention he's incredibly lonely. As a kid, he sent out letters to people, hoping that they would take interest in him. He's just... it's so sad. Number 3. Hong Kong. Many people portray him as serious and emotionless. This is so not the case. If I had to quickly describe him, he's like Poland. But instead of like totally, he says like seriously. Listen to him in his character songs, both of them. Yes, he has 2 now, surprisingly. He's like the hip, trendy teenager. Hong Kong,听了말어. Meh, don't wanna. Hong Kong, I say no! Ugh, like, whatever. Hong Kong, get off that accident with wheels, Aru! OMG, old man, like, seriously, get with the times, like, seriously. Call me old man one more time and I will kick your ass. Kids these days have no respect for their elders. Number 2. Russia. You all saw this coming. I could go on and talk about how he isn't a monster, but we cannot deny the fact that Russia was abusive towards Lithuania and Latvia. But if you are going to write this side of Russia, you need to do it correctly. Russia does not abuse everyone. He only abuses those in a lower position that he is. I believe this may have been a reference to the cruelty of Russian prisoner of war camps and how horribly prisoners of war are treated in Russia. Again, Hema describes him as childishly cruel. The big thing is that he doesn't realize what he is doing is wrong. He thinks what he's doing is perfectly normal because that's what he knows. That doesn't excuse his actions, of course, especially with Lithuania and Latvia. He doesn't do this constantly. He won't just randomly hurt or kill someone. Remember, he's still lonely and looking for friends. But he's not really serious when he's being a dick. He does it in a kind of playful manner. He thinks this is fun. This is all one kind of game. While he can be a total dick, you need to understand why he does what he does. A lot of it comes from his mentally scarring past, and a lot of it is because his bosses make him do it, and comics show that he is often very much afraid of his bosses. But otherwise, he's kind of like a kid. A really big, incredibly messed up kid who's secretly plotting everyone's doom. Also, I really don't think he would always be the seme. Could we see him as a Yuke every once in a while, please? Just because he is big doesn't mean he isn't still incredibly soft. Remember, this is a guy whose dream is to live in a warm place surrounded by sunflowers. Also, his name is Ivan, not Ivan. Say it with me. Ivan. Number 1. Belarus. Finally, I get to talk about this character. I was going to give her her own video because she's such a complex character. People get Belarus so wrong. So, I am going to tell you just how weird of a character Belarus really is. First of all, she is not an innocent character. She swears a lot, and I mean about as much as Romano does. In her diary, she has done some rather disturbing things to the Baltics, things that are very open to interpretation. And now it is time for me to elaborate on all the weird stuff that Belarus does and has done. And if you think this is weird, you should see all the stuff that is not Russia related. Again, a very interesting and random character. Second of all, I am about 80% sure that she has antisocial personality disorder. I mean, look at her throughout the series. She has only ever truly smiled once, and that was for a dare for a photo. And I'm not sure if this counts as a smile. Mind you, antisocial personality disorder people are not always emotionless. And even if they are, they imitate emotions to blend in with society. But just look at her throughout the comics. Either she is angry, or she has this blank, soulless look on her face. Even as a child, she's not even happy building her snow titties. Even breaking Lithuania's fingers. Nothing! Even on the character sheet, she is only depicted with mostly blank expressions. We have never heard her feel sympathy for anyone or anything, other than herself and for her brother. You can interpret this as you want, but she kind of reminds me of a yandere, never being able to truly feel anything except around her brother, who makes her feel pure joy. While this reasoning is not canonically stated, I do think that it is a very reasonable motive for being so obsessed with her brother. I would say to write her as a creepy kind of character, like the character in the horror movie that knows all the information about the monster for no reason, but is kind of demented. She doesn't display much emotion at all, except rage. And when she does, oh boy.
じゃあ前の方だけもらおうかな。結婚はいらない。来週兄さんのうちのテレビチャンネル1位しか映らないようにしてやる。やめて
Aurora Takano deserves some love for that. Oh, and she actually likes her boss and respects him. She even made a fan site for him. So if you're planning on doing a thing where she stands up against her dictator, think again. Though she is rather pessimistic and lonely, she is also someone who never takes things for granted. She has the mentality of, as long as there is something to eat, I'm fine. Which is a mentality that is understandable for someone living under a dictatorship. This is a perfect personification of a country that is the last dictatorship in Europe, still has the KGB, is Russia's only real ally today, and a country that just cannot let go of the Soviet Union. And that was 1 mark higher on your history test. Thank you for watching Hetafacts.